They do a good job. I mean, Cliff's always been a guy that's mixed a lot of different personnel groupings, and sometimes it's different based on how he feels like he wants to attack different opponents. So there's certain games where it's been a little bit heavier with some more wide receivers and running back personnel. Sometimes he's done with the tight ends, and so he does a great job of being able to utilize all the guys that he has up on game day. So when you look at since 19, there's been a mixture of different things, and we got to be ready for either or.
Sean, is Larry Jackson in line to start at right guard?
Yes.
You know what?
I mean, he's a guy that's, had over 40 starts, I think 47 career starts in this league. He's got a nice way about himself. I was impressed with the way that he handled himself last week. Just seeing his tape in the previous places he's been, I mean, the game makes sense to him. He's a tough physical competitor that can really compete at a high level in both phases. And so that was why it was important for us to get him in here. And it seems like he has seamlessly kind of fit in a short amount of time.
Sean, you explained how every interception is a different story, but is there at what point do you is it a negative? I mean, when is there a problem for you?
Yeah, I mean, this guy's a great quarterback, Gary. I thought he had great command the other day. There's so many different things that a quarterback is responsible for before the snap. And, one of the things I've always been so impressed with Matthew is that he's able to come off right after and he's able to articulate what he saw. It's not waiting until he's looking at the pictures, and he has an intent and a reason behind different things. And then we learn from it. It's no different than if I end up making a bad decision that wasn't in alignment with some of our process and our preparation. But you want to have those at a minimum, but I also want to make sure that it's a fine line between not allowing him to compete at a high level, where we want to be smart but aggressive. Both of those the other day, I thought, the one that Walker made was a good play in a man coverage where he kind of had tucked in with that action and he didn't feel him. The other one was a play that, I know he can be better than, and, it was such a good drive to get us in that position, but felt like Hayward was playing visual into the backfield and wanted to be able to give Higbee a chance. But those are things that we'll learn from. I don't know if I ever really thought of it like that other than, hey, let's collaborate, let's communicate, and then let's be able to try to keep those at a minimum. But I have the utmost confidence in Matthew, and I thought he played really well the other day.
When you are watching tape of Arizona, Kyler Murray is on that two-point conversion, keeping a play alive for 15 seconds. What's as a head coach watching that kind of thing from a sideline, what's going through your mind when that's happening?
Oh, I mean, just so excited to get ready to play him. It's you realize what a nightmare. I mean, I remember after I finished talking to you guys, you go in the locker room and you talk about being able to make a play to even score the touchdown, then to be able to hit A.J. Green, but this guy, the play is never over with this guy. I mean, he's got such great wide field vision. He's got such a great ability to be able to escape the pocket. He can make plays in the pocket. He can make plays outside the pocket. When he does utilize his legs as a runner, I mean, he is freaking dynamic. And so that's a huge point of emphasis, as it has been since we were playing him in, 19. So he's a very, very special player and somebody that we have to account for. And it's definitely something that our guys are excited about, but it's a great challenge without a doubt.
Check on Troy went on IR, but is there a chance he can come back?
Oh, yeah, there's a chance. It's just, it's probably going to be at least a month, Jordan. So felt like that would be better off to be able to, create another spot for us. And I know he'll get back as soon as possible, but, those soft tissues are a little tricky, especially the groin. You know what? He's day to day. He won't practice today. He got his hamstring, and again, it's not quite as significant as what Troy's groin was, but it is something that we'll take it a day at a time with him.
When you look back at the summer when you got Jalen involved in hands-on coaching with these young players, especially when you face a situation like the one you're looking into this weekend, what are your takeaways from that period as how it reflects on what's happening now?
Yeah, I think you just never know what's going to occur, and guys need to be ready to go. And that's why every single rep that they get, even if we do take a modified approach in the offseason, but these guys are getting 7-on-7 reps. And, I can watch him, playing the star, being able to slip underneath the seam and make a couple picks, and Jalen's ability, I think there's something so powerful, Jordan, about when you get these veteran players that have been doing it for such a long period of time at such a high level. These players, they listen, because those guys know better than anybody else. And it's really powerful when you've got leaders like Jalen, like a Bobby Wagner, like guys like Aaron Donald. And then you look at on the offensive side, a lot of the same guys pouring into these guys, not anything more than what they're capable of, but we do expect them to raise the level of play of people around them. And part of that is putting some of these younger guys under your wing and helping them grow. And that's exactly what he's done.
When you're aware not of getting too complacent, like you know exactly what they're going to do?
Yeah, I think you could say yes, but I think, as it relates to them offensively and defensively, they do a great job being able to mix it up. And, I think, on the defensive side, Vance does a great job of utilizing different personnel groupings. There's some foundational philosophies, but he's always got new wrinkles that he's added every single offseason, and he's always cognizant of the new players and the personnel that he has, and then how does that relate to putting these guys in the right spots. And so you do want to make sure that you use your previous inventory, but you don't want to dive too deep into it. And usually, I guess last year we played them in week 4, but most of the years you've got a bunch of, when they got there, we were playing them later on in the season. Last year we played them week 4 and then whatever week that was last year. So they do a good job of being able to mix it up, but you do, utilize some of those previous games, where they've had coordinator continuity or play caller continuity since 19.
Sean, with Bobby, how big is it for him to know the division, like the Cardinals, and also him being an extra pass rusher for your defense? How big is it?
Yeah, it's huge. He's such a smart player. He's got an inventory of reps accumulated that he utilizes based on the coordinator or personnel guys, and so he's got a really special approach. I definitely think he'd probably be better equipped to answer that, but I certainly don't think it hurts us. And really glad Bobby's with us.
With the injuries in the secondary and the offensive line, do you make that a point of emphasis with the players and the coaches?
I think what you do is you expect those guys to be able to step up. Everybody talks about the next man up, but we do have confidence in these guys to be able to assert themselves and to fill in. And, whether it's an A.J. Jackson or whether it was Jacoby Durant last week or maybe a DK or Robert Rochelle or, whoever it is, the expectations don't change. That's why this is the greatest team sport there is. We got to do a good job as coaches of being mindful of how to put those players and really all of our players in the right spots. But I think what you try to instill is an authentic confidence and encouragement in terms of how you prepare them and then let them go play. But you try not to make too big of a deal of it other than the fact that, hey, we got confidence in those guys to step up and fill the voids that are left by whoever was in front of them that might have gotten injured. Yeah, I think really there's a consistent plan throughout the course of the week. And when you really only practice 3 days a week, you kind of naturally deload him as is. It's a little bit different than training camp. So, after the game, now you really have 2 days, full 48 hours until you're back out here. And really even today, it's a little bit more modified practice setting where you can kind of naturally deload him in terms of the amount of throws. Tomorrow's a little bit more, and then Friday you kind of naturally deload it back down. And that's really in alignment with how we practice as a team. So it kind of works itself out organically, but we certainly are always in constant communication, and Reggie and Zach Witherspoon, those guys do a great job of kind of having a plan that's predicated on Matthew's feedback, because it's really important for him to have the ownership in it because of his experience, and it's his body.
You've always said go 1-0 each week. Is there a different juice, so to speak, when it's in the division?
I think the players, for me, there's not, it's important for us to try to be able to be fully present, fully focused on putting together a great plan and having a great week of preparation. I mean, I'm not naive to the fact that those games maybe mean a little bit more at the end of the year based on how the standings, fall. But whether it was last week getting ready for Atlanta or this week, I'd like to think that we have the same amount of focus and concentration, and that's, full 100%. And so that's what I know we're going to give as coaches, and that's what I anticipate our players are going to give as well.
Last season, you guys kind of kicked the door down at the beginning in terms of the explosive air yards plays, especially obviously pressure and the coverages you guys have seen have dictated some of what you've been able to do this year. But how do you guys problem solve to get that vertical element back?
I think if it's necessary. I didn't think we needed it the other day. I thought because we were so efficient on early downs, obviously the score got close, but I felt like, offensively, the guys did a great job of really being able to kind of move the ball at will. It wasn't until later on in the game that we were forced to punt. And I thought they did a great job. And I think, shot call doesn't always necessarily mean shot taken, but it's in a lot of instances predicated on, all right, well, what are the coverage contours? Obviously, the Buffalo game was a real challenge, and they were playing a lot of stuff where they were trying to keep things in front. And so you do see that a little bit more prevalent around the league, Jordan, but if we feel like that's the best way. And, last week, we had some plays where, you're stretching them vertically, but it might be taking an underneath check down. So we're always hunting up if the defense presents those chances.
If I could
Sure.
follow up on that, just in terms of that a lot more teams are playing, and the patience to that it takes to chip away on the other side. So, in terms of choosing those shots and when to put in the verticality, is it more about patience? Is it strategy? Is it a little both? I mean, how do you go ball control once you do get the ball moving?
I think it's all of the above. I think there's certain situations and scenarios where you can earn some ops. But what's so tough about those defensive structures is they force you to just be patient enough, and now your margin for error is smaller if you're having to go 4, 5, 6, 7 yards at a time. But if you are able to stay ahead of the chains, you can avoid some of the tough third downs. So as you know, Jordan, there's so many different directions that we could go with this conversation, but it's like anything else. You pick and choose, and then, just like a defensive coordinator is going to pick and choose his spots where, yeah, we might want to be able to put a roof on the coverage, but every now and then, all right, if it's a smaller yardage type of situation, you got to commit certain guys to the box so that you can't just give people the opportunity to be able to run the football. So that's what's so fun about this game is every single week involves a new approach where you're trying to make sure you put your guys in the right spots, and then you're able to sequence the game in a manner that's reflective of ultimately coming away with the win. I think, as far as the stats, whatever, the only thing I care about is coming away with the result that we're obtaining. And that's something that, I think is important and that we kind of share as a team. And then if that means that we've got to be able to take some shots, we'll do that. But if you're able to efficiently run the football, then you're able to much more, efficiently dictate the flow of the game. No different than being able to stop people on early downs defensively earns you opportunities to rush the passer. So I know kind of know that, but it's really predicated on a week to week. And, you could spend a couple hours with us every single day and we could talk about that.
Yes. Yeah. Accepted.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Hello. What's up?
Hey, what's kind of been your experience playing against Kyler Murray, and what kind of challenge does that present? as he's kind of matured in the league?
I think he's done a better job of kind of throwing the ball when he needs to, taking check downs when he needs to. But obviously, the biggest challenge is him running. When he doesn't see anything, him taking off. So that's been the thing. I think if you let him kind of run around and make crazy plays, come off your guys, they not only does he do that well, but the team ignites off of plays like that. So we definitely have to limit those opportunities for him.
Practicing so many years with Russell, does that give you a greater comfort zone for a guy like Murray?
I think it was different because we didn't really once it got to the season, we didn't practice against Russell. So there's a lot of things that Russell did differently than Kyler did. But I think it's some similarities from the way they run their routes, the way they kind of use his legs and things of that nature. But I would say it's two different people.
With the Kyler being smaller in stature and so shifty, does that give him an advantage at all?
I mean, maybe it's harder to see him. I mean, that's probably the only thing is. But, I mean, he's really quick. And, he's a guy that, like you said, if you do try to come and tackle him high, he's short enough to go underneath you and take off and run. So you definitely have to be in control when you're trying to tackle him.
You've talked about why you decided to sign with the Rams. I'm just wondering, is the familiarity with the division, knowing the 49ers, knowing the Seahawks, obviously, and Arizona, was that part of it? And if so or if not, how comforting is it to know you're going to see these teams that you've seen a lot?
Honestly, I just wanted to stay on the West Coast, and be close to fam. I think being able to know the division and understand the division and be a part of the division, I think that was just kind of a bonus. But it is nice to know, you got teams that you've played, throughout your whole career. They haven't really changed much from a standpoint, and I get to play against them in a different defense, so it'll be new to them.
When you watch that film of Kyler, it seemed like he ran 68 yards on one play, just going back and forth. What goes through your mind as a defensive guy scheming for that?
I don't think that's something you scheme for. I think that's something you try not to allow happen. So I think, I think the back end kind of did a good job, but he's a guy that can extend plays. He ran backwards, so he was losing yards, and he came forward a little bit. And then as a player on a when you're guarding somebody, you don't want to come off your guy because the moment you come off your guy, he throws it over your head for a touchdown. So, really it's just up to us as a front and coverage just all work together to make sure he doesn't scramble like that.
Bobby, I know you don't always notice what's going on in the secondary because of where you play, but when Kobe Durant lines up next to you, what do you notice and what's that like?
I just say, "What's up, Rook? Welcome to welcome." But I mean, he's a guy I've watched. I do pay attention, not during the game, but obviously after when you watch film. But he was making plays, all throughout camp and even at practice. So when he comes out there like that, you just kind of expect him to do the things that he's been doing at practice. So we've seen that happen, and so that's kind of what I expected.
When there's a young guy who has so much potential like that, and then it's not so much maybe about what they are doing in the moment, but how they build off of that momentum. What kinds of things in your career have you taken in terms of forward progress in that regard?
I think it's appreciating what you were able to accomplish, but also looking for areas where you could get better, what you can do better. I think that mindset always keeps you hungry because, although he made some amazing plays, there's always something, you always try to find something to better in your game, and that's where you create that longevity is never being complacent with the plays that you've made today, knowing that there's more plays out there to be made tomorrow.
Bobby, 2 games now with Ernest Jones. How's that partnership been for you guys?
It's been great. Since I got here, it's been amazing. Watching him, even play these last few weeks, running around, tackling. It's been really fun to play with him and collab with him and talk about different things. So I'm excited. As you guys can see, he's an amazing player.
He's talked a lot about how hyper-attuned with your movement and not wasting movement that you are and have been in your career, and about how he wants to be that way as well. When you see a guy with the length that he has and then the hands that he has to get in throwing sort of think of ways where he can use sort of every inch of his frame in that regard? And do you guys talk about that at all?
I mean, I don't really look at his body like that, but I think
Just in terms of a tool that you guys can use for pass rushing, things like that.
I think it's more so just talk about angles. You know, I think from the way you drop back or the way you take on blocks, things of that nature. Obviously, his hands are big, so a lot of the things that I do for me is linemen are 300 and something pounds, and they big in themselves. So, a lot of our vision comes with our hands and comes with our arms and being able to still see where the running back is at. So, using things like that to your advantage, using angles on different drops or breaks to your advantage, and that's kind of the things that we talk about and watch on film.
Along those lines, do you notice, can you already tell us in some ways, or I guess on some plays where Ernest is more efficient than maybe he was making some of those same plays in training camp or even from what you saw in film before you got him?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like he's grown a lot, from last year to this year. I think he's more patient, just not being in a rush to get to certain things, and he understands where the ball is going to go. And a lot of times when you're a young guy or a rookie, you move so fast, and sometimes you just overrun plays. And so, you get to a point where you know exactly when it is and you know exactly when to shoot your gun. I think that's what's happening with him. Appreciate it.